Today on Legally Yes, Shiloh Jolie-Pitt drops her father's last name, while Rory McIlroy hires a private investigator to serve his ex. And Madonna is sued for unwanted sexual exposure. Kim and Croy have to follow a closet schedule. And Ariana and Tom's house drama may take years to resolve. We got that plus so much more in today's Legally Yes. Hey everyone, and welcome to Legally Yes. I'm Christina. That's Nima Rahmani, President and CEO of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Hi Nima, how are you?
Doing great, Christina. How about you?
Doing good. Now let's kick this off this week. This is some big news. So Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's daughter, Shiloh Jolie-Pitt, has reportedly filed to drop her father's last name. So according to court documents, Shiloh filed paperwork to legally change her name on Monday, May 27th, which also happened to be her 18th birthday. TMZ reported that Shiloh dropped her father's surname and wants to go by Shiloh Jolie now. The request has yet to be approved, but she isn't the only one of her siblings who has wanted to alter their name. When Zahara joined the sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha at Spelman College, she introduced herself using her mother's last name only. Most recently, Us Weekly confirmed that Shiloh and Zahara's younger sister, Vivian, also dropped Pitt's last name. Vivian is working as a production assistant on the Broadway play The Outsiders, which is being produced by Angelina. Vivian is credited in the show's playbill as Vivian Jolie. There's also been some reports that Shiloh hired a lawyer on her own to do this. So tell me about this. What is this process like, and what does this kind of tell about the relationship, I guess, what they have with their father?
Well, Christina, anyone can file to change their name if they're 18 years old. And obviously, parents can do it for a minor. And these requests in California, they're liberally granted. So people can change their names as long as it's not for a misleading reason. I can't change my name to Donald Trump or Joseph Biden, for instance. But short of that, dropping your dad's last name, that's absolutely acceptable and something that will be granted. The bigger question, though, is what does that mean for Brad and Angelina's divorce? We know that the children were potential witnesses to the alleged abuse. So are they going to be Team Angelina in this case?
Will they be, I know, like you said, they were going to be called as witnesses in the divorce. Does that mean that will still happen maybe going forward? And like you said, it kind of seems like they are probably Team Angelina in all this.
It appears so. So obviously, there are still some minor children and there's some custody issues to be worked out. And we know that they're still fighting over Mirabel, that chateau, and who needs to pay who and who's going to have ownership of it. So to the extent that the kids were witnesses to anything, whether it be physical abuse, whether it be some sort of agreement between Brad and Angelina, their testimony will be very important because you would think it would be independent in a case like this.
Right, like you said, so their testimony would probably be maybe the biggest testimonies that they're going to hear. So this could definitely sway in Angelina's favor if what they say, if the court believes what they say.
Of course, whenever you have an independent witness, because we know that at least in the Mirabel case, a lot of what is being alleged is a he said, she said type situation. Brad is saying that they had a verbal agreement. Angelina is saying that NDAs prevented her from talking about it. But if you have witnesses who were there, and if these conversations happened in the privacy of their home and the children heard it, and they take Angelina's side, that's going to be very telling for the judge or a jury in the case.
Yeah, and like you said, these name changes, they can be granted pretty quickly.
They are granted pretty quickly. It's a simple petition. A judge does have to grant it. And they're almost always granted, again, unless there's some problem with the name or you're using it to defraud or deceive someone.
Certainly says something that she went and did that right on her 18th birthday. So, yeah, it's pretty telling signs there. All right, well, new details about Rory McIlroy's divorce have emerged via court documents obtained by the Belfast Telegraph. So he allegedly hired a private investigator to serve his ex with divorce papers while she was at their shared home in Jupiter, Florida. He was in North Carolina at the time to compete in the Wells Fargo Championship on the PGA Tour, which he ultimately won. The Belfast Telegraph further reported that the golfer digitally signed his motion on May 9th before it was given to Stoll. She has 20 days to file a response to the filing. Her summons read, "A phone call will not protect you. Your written response, including the case number given above and the names of the parties, must be filed if you want the court to hear your side of the case. If you do not file your response on time, you may lose the case, and your wages, money, and property may be thereafter be taken without further warning from the court." So there has not been any further update on the pair's divorce, with the May 13th documents among the last updated in the Palm Beach County Court database. What does it say that you're hiring a private investigator to serve your ex? Why would you do something like that?
The first pleading or filing in any case usually has to be personally served. Now, a lawyer can accept service on behalf of the client, but whether it's a lawsuit, whether it's a divorce petition, that document has to be physically handed to the other party. Now, there are process servers, there are investigators that do this. And I know sometimes people can get upset when they're served with papers. I think Olivia Wilde was upset when she was served in a very public way, but sometimes when you can't get a hold of someone, this is what investigators do. They might lie and say they're delivering flowers or an Amazon package, and next thing you know, you've been served. So, I think people don't like it, but if Rory wanted to initiate proceedings, this really was the first step.
Sure. So they probably did reach out on several occasions to try to serve her, and for it to get to that point, she probably ignored them. Is that safe to say?
Well, one of two things happened. Either she didn't have a lawyer and said that I won't accept service, or she has a lawyer and the lawyer said, I'm not authorized to accept personal service on behalf of my client. And in that case, that's where the investigators and process servers come in. Sometimes they'll even do a stakeout. They'll hide outside someone's home and wait till they walk outside and then serve them with papers. So there's a whole art to this. And there's a whole industry that all they do is serve documents like this.
So if she doesn't sign these papers, doesn't file the motion, it's pretty much she could lose this case altogether. So what would she be losing in this instance? Obviously, we don't know the exact details of what's going down in their divorce, but what is she at stake to lose?
In any case, if you don't file a response or a responsive pleading, you're going to be defaulted. The judge will only hear one side of the case. And if you don't defend yourself, that's how you get a default to judgment. You could lose custody, you could lose property, you could get a judgment against you, and people can enforce it by garnishing your wages, taking your property. So it is very important in any type of case, civil, criminal, family law, for serve with papers, hire a lawyer and make sure you respond.
Yeah, hire a lawyer. Okay. Well, Madonna has been hit with another lawsuit over her celebration tour. In a complaint filed in the LA County Superior Court on May 29th, concertgoer Justin Lepoulos alleged that he and the audience were subjected to unwanted sexual exposure to content during her March 7th concert at the Kia Forum in LA. He accused the pop icon and tour organizers of negligent misrepresentation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, breach of written contract, and false advertising in his filing, claiming that the crowd had to wait more than an hour for her to hit the stage. The concert allegedly was supposed to begin at 8:30. She didn't go on until 10. Additionally, he alleged that the audience was subjected to pornography without warning, including topless women on stage simulating sex acts. He also claimed that Madonna had the air conditioning turned off during the concert, causing him to fall ill in the sweltering heat, and that the singer lip-synced through some of her performance when the crowd was promised a live show. I'm not sure what he expected going to a Madonna concert. She's, her song "Like a Virgin." But I guess he wasn't prepared for the amount of sexual activity that I guess was happening on stage.
Christina, people can file a lawsuit for any reason or no reason at all, and this seems like a no reason type of case. It's Madonna. What are you expecting when you go to her show? This is how she's been since I was a kid in the 80s. And, with respect to the concert time, everyone knows that there are performers who open and the main artist doesn't take the stage immediately at the time of the concert. So for someone to allege fraud or breach of contract, I think that seems like a stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if this case gets dismissed or is settled for some nuisance or small amount.
Right. Yeah. It just seems like you said, you don't have to file a lawsuit about everything. You could just send an email complaint, I guess. Well, we haven't talked about Kim Zolciak and Croy in a while, but they may still run into each other in their home, but it won't happen in the closet. This is the weirdest story. So according to court documents obtained by us, Kim and Croy have been ordered to follow a strict closet schedule amid their contentious divorce. So she will have access to the master bedroom closet Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then he shall not access or enter said master bedroom closet between those hours. So this was after she called the police on Croy after he allegedly stole her phone, locked himself in their home, citing a court order that allegedly states that Croy is allowed in their home but must remain in his portion of the house. The former Real Housewives star told police that she's sick of her estranged spouse going through her things amid their messy divorce. I think it was also reported today that their house will not be going into foreclosure. So I guess that's a win for them as well. But I haven't heard of a closet schedule before.
I haven't either, Christina, and I've been doing this more than 20 years. There's a first for everything. But this just shows how nasty some of these divorces can get in these toxic relationships. And literally, you need to get a judge to be involved in everything. In some of the worst cases, children actually have to be exchanged at the police station because the parents can't get along at all. So obviously, we're not talking about kids here. We're talking about closets and clothing and personal belongings. But it's pretty ridiculous that these two can't come up with some resolution, at least during the period of time while the divorce is pending.
Right. And why do you think that the foreclosure could have been taken off the table?
So we saw this with Graceland, but it could be an issue with the debtor and the mortgage. But even if there wasn't, all states have what's called a right of redemption. Because getting your house foreclosed is such an extreme act. The law says, hey, even if you miss a payment or two before foreclosure proceedings can be initiated, you have a right to repay the amount plus any penalties and interest to get your home back and prevent that foreclosure. So I'm guessing they were able to exercise that right of redemption and prevent the foreclosure.
Well, hopefully they can sell this house soon and move on separately.
Yes.
Well, speaking of housing drama, so Tom Sandoval and Ariana's battle over their shared home may take even longer than expected to resolve. So the Vanderpump Rules stars must settle their situation via private mediation or they will go to trial starting February 17th of 2026. So back in January, Ariana filed a lawsuit against Tom in hopes of selling their joint property. She made it clear that she didn't want a division in kind while Sandoval pushed to receive full ownership. The pair shared home has become a point of contention ever since their relationship came to an end in March of 2023 following Sandoval, as we know. So in season 11 of Vanderpump Rules, which just concluded, cameras rolled as Sandoval and Maddox continued to live in their home as they disagreed over what to do next. He offered her, I think, $600,000 to kind of buy her out of the home. She refused that. She did move out. She has purchased a new home. So why would something like this take so long, and what is the holdup?
It's just a problem with courts here in California, Christina. If you file a lawsuit in Los Angeles today, the first available trial date is about 2 years out, and that's the problem. Unless it's an expedited hearing, like a restraining order, obviously we cover that for Vanderpump Rules. But most typical civil lawsuits, you're looking about 2 years to get to trial. So this is not uncommon, and obviously Vanderpump Rules is a reality TV show, but one of the challenges in doing a reality TV show about a law firm is it just takes so long, right? If you track a case, it wouldn't even finish in one season, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Right. So what happens next? They said that, they have to go through some sort of mediation. Why is this still happening? Who is not agreeing to something?
So mediation is a non-binding proceeding before an experienced lawyer or a retired judge, and he or she will try to settle the case. But if they can't, then that's what judges and juries are for, and both sides have to agree to the proposal during mediation. I think what Ariana should have done, this is what I've typically seen in these types of cases, is you have a bidding system. So if Tom wants to offer $600,000 to buy Ariana out, Ariana could say, no, I'm going to counter with $700,000. and they kind of keep bidding until one person accepts the bid. But if you reject the offer, you really should increase your offer to the other side to buy them out. That's the best way to do things, because waiting 2 years to sell this house doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it seems like they're both digging their heels in and doesn't want to let the other win in this scenario, because like I said, she's already moved on. She bought another house, so she doesn't want this house, but I think that she just does not want him to live there.
Yeah, obviously they weren't married, but this is another messy separation, not necessarily a divorce. But, you know, when you're dealing with these types of cases, people are so emotional, right? Now, obviously, Ariana has been wronged by Tom, and I don't condone what he did at all, but really, it has no relevance to the house issue. California is a no-fault state, which means even if they were divorced, even if Tom cheated with one of Ariana's friends, it doesn't affect the division of the house. It's really a financial issue and who owes what. So hopefully they can resolve it and put this behind them.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they got 2 years to do it. All right. All right. Well, Nima, thank you so much. As always, lots of interesting stories this week.
Of course. Thanks, Christina. See you next week.
See you next week.